Okay, IBUS75 Test 2A Study Guide. By now you should have watched most of the videos that we've put up on the web and read the material, and then plus your research you do on the internet. First question has to do with the relationship of supply chain and logistics to marketing, those organizational relationships. One of the other issues that we talk about regularly, that this America First policy, which the current administration is trying to enforce to try to constrain globalization, is not going to work because that horse is out of the barn, like they say. And so globalization is going to continue, and it has changed the dynamics of where things get manufactured, where they get distributed, and where they get consumed. The other issue is globalization does is it allows us to sell products outside of your local community. A good example is this course that we're currently having. We're working on a program to offer this course overseas. So that's one of the benefits of technology and globalization. International logistics includes logistics. Logistics is the physical movement of product. The reason LA Long Beach is such an important port is because it is geographically advantageous to cargo coming from the largest manufacturing centers in the world, which are Asia. In the old days, when I first started out in the steamship business, most of the imports came from Europe. We talked about push and pull. It used to be that manufacturers used to produce at their sites to their maximum optimization of their factories, and they would push the product out into warehouses near where the consumers were, and then they would do discounts and sales in order to get products to move. The market, through the advent of a lot of technology, has gone to a pull mechanism, which is they don't start producing product until they've got sales records that imply that people are willing to buy things. Most of the ships that are arriving LA to Long Beach are of two categories, and passenger ships are not one of them. Obviously there are an awful lot of container ships that come into LA Long Beach. That should be obvious. The other type of ship that comes in here in large supply are oil tankers. The most important strategy for logistics is to create a highly reliable, cost-effective logistics network. Having a low-cost logistic network isn't helpful. Having a highly reliable one that is very expensive is not helpful. So what we're looking for is a highly reliable, cost-effective network. One of the benefits of this class, our face-to-face class, is we teach students how to load and unload containers on and off of ships. Why is that important? Well, if you know how the container ships are loaded and unloaded, you know how to get the freight out of the terminal faster. That's one of the big reasons. Logistics includes assets and processes. So logistics used to be just assets. It used to be ships, it used to be trucks, it used to be railroads and rail cars, airplanes. They would fly to point A to point B. When they would land, that was the end, right? There weren't a lot of processes. They would just load and unload at origin destination. Well, now, because of the interface of all these different assets, business and logistics process become critical because those hands-offs add a lot of time, risk, and expense. Here's an interesting one. That most students going through college learn what the college academic requirements are and what's expected. You've probably figured out that that's not what the business community wants. And so a student needs to take responsibility for learning what is required in the business workplace. One of the most important things that's different in the business community than in the academic community is most students start off by just tell me what I need to do to get an A. And they do the minimum amount of work to get whatever grade they want. That is not the business community. The business community is looking for people to take ownership of their work and produce more, create more value than just simply doing the minimum. One of the things that we talked about in the video on warehousing, which I'm sure you all watched, is that in the warehousing business you have both full-time labor and manual labor, temporary labor. And one of the limitations of management is many facilities manage that labor differently, and I believe that they should be managed the same. Because there's been a transition technically where logistics is no longer just about assets, but it's about assets and processes, and those processes are driven by technology. The other questions here are all pretty obvious. They're all on the web. And here's a tip for number 20. Take a look down at the harbor. Ships are getting bigger. See you next time.